Think about it. Every hiring decision is a choice that can make or break a team, a culture, and even an entire company. So how do we make the right choice? Hi, I'm Dr. Mickey, and welcome to Inside the Mind of Hiring. Here we'll uncover the psychology and strategy behind effective hiring. Because the right fit isn't just about skill or experience. It's about understanding people, their motivations, their strengths, and the shadows of their shortcomings. Together, we'll tackle the tough questions. How do we look beyond bias? How do we find the qualities that make people not just qualified hires, but the right hires? This is about identifying leaders who drive success, lift morale, and actualize a company's vision. Inside the Mind of Hiring starts now. Well, hello everyone, and this is Dr. Mickey Fineberg. And as you heard in the intro, the show name is Inside the Mind of Hiring. Our episode name today is Celebrating a Great Human Resources Career. Today, I'm honored to introduce my terrific guest, Kathy Rosati, the Vice President of Human Resources for the Philadelphia Contributionship. The Philadelphia Contributionship, which I'll now refer to as TPC, is a long-standing homeowners insurance company, very well respected, and it's based in, you guessed it, Philadelphia, PA. Kathy and I have been professional colleagues for many years. Planning to retire from her great career next year, Kathy is engaged in the challenge of selecting a successful successor and then facilitating a successful transition, a smooth transition. So Kathy, thanks so much for joining our show today. Really appreciate it. I'd also like our listeners and watchers to know that this show is really pertinent to job seekers, particularly those who may be interested in pursuing or cultivating their human resource career at any stage, either the very beginning or the middle or at any stage, and kind of maximizing your enrichment and success along those lines. And of course, this show is pertinent to people that do the hiring. So welcome to all of those, all of you. And Kathy, I'd like to start with asking you to please summarize your career journey up to the present time. And then in particular, give us a sense give us some flavor on what your role has been with TPC.
All right, Mickey, thank you very much for having me. I'm honored to be here. It's hard to believe that this career has spanned 43 years, but in the blink of an eye, here we are, right?
Yeah, right.
So I actually started as a special education major when I was in college, taught for a year or two after I graduated, took some time off to be a stay-at-home mom, had my 3 children pretty young. While I was still doing that, I started a graduate program majoring in a field that I really didn't know too much about, organizational and industrial psychology, and landed my first job in what was then called personnel in 1982 for a small manufacturing company in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. And I spent 6 or 7 years working there. And then that company had acquired an insurance company, and I was offered the opportunity to move to the insurance side of the business and start an HR department, which I did. And that company was United National Insurance Company at the time. And I spent almost 20 years there.
I didn't know it was that long.
It was. It was a long
Time
time.
flies.
Yeah. And when I started there, it was a small privately held company. And by the time I left, it had become a much larger publicly traded company. And I just felt that the environment was not the right one for me. So I left there and went out on my own for a short time, did some consulting with small companies that weren't large enough to have their own HR department. tried to provide HR services and consultation to them. And then landed a job with a healthcare organization in Delaware County
Right.
where I managed two hospitals, the HR function for two hospitals, and planned on staying there for the rest of my career. But the Philadelphia Contributionship found me, and I was convinced that it was probably a good idea to return to insurance. And so I came to the Contributionship 16 years ago, and I've been happily doing what I do here ever since. And
Wow.
basically,
So, wow, it's been 16 years there.
16 years, yeah, since I
Well, I
started.
know. Wow, wow, that's a hell of a tenure.
And I have to say, I've pretty much enjoyed every minute of it. So
Yeah.
it's been a
So, right. So, what has been your focus in terms of your role at TPC or the contributionship, as you say?
Mhm. So we're a small company. We have about 115 employees, and that's my comfort zone. I love doing HR work in a smaller organization
Mhm,
because you do get to do a little bit of everything. You're a true generalist.
mhm,
So all of the traditional areas that HR gets involved in, um, compensation, talent management, performance management, health and safety, benefits, they've all been part of my responsibilities in the
mhm,
16 years that I've been here.
mhm.
And then, the other joy of a small company is you get to go from being very strategic. I've been fortunate to be a member of our leadership team. And on the other hand, you also get very involved in kind of the nitty-gritty tactical day-to-day issues of, we're out of Coke in the refrigerator. So it's it
Right,
spans a little bit of everything, which is
right,
perfect for me.
right. Well, you're willing, so I'm sure that everybody appreciates everything you do there. When you say strategic, do you mean sort of shaping the HR roadmap to the business strategy, or do you also mean being a partner in the direction of the business?
A little bit of both, Mickey.
Really?
Yeah, I have found over the years that nobody can pay me a bigger compliment than doing an interview with me. And at the end of the interview, they'll say, "Wow, I didn't expect the HR person to know as much about the business as you do." Um, and
Wow.
my response to that has always been, I don't know how you can be a great HR person without knowing the business that you're in.
Right. Right.
Because we do, we exist, yes, to understand people, but we understand people in order to achieve our business goals. So you do need to know a little bit of both. And then, the real challenge is crafting a people strategy that meshes with the business's strategy.
Right. Right. That's great. That's great. So, a person for all seasons you are.
Probably.
When you reflect on your HR career, what are your primary thoughts and feelings? I'm sure you're doing a little reflection these days.
Yep, I definitely am. And as you might imagine, the emotions are mixed. The first thing, as I said when we opened, I can't believe how quickly the time has flown, and I can't believe I'm at a point in my career where I'm getting ready to retire.
Mhm.
Um, Beyond that, a little bit of sadness. Um, I'm doing something that I love with a group of people that I love and a company that I love working for. So it is hard
Right.
to leave that and put it aside. What's the old saying? If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. That really
Yeah.
applies to me, I think, and I'm very
Great.
blessed to be able to say that. Um,
Great.
but at the same time, I'm looking forward to some new challenges. It's time to step aside and let some new ideas, new blood come in, put
Hmm.
their mark on the business as I've been able to do so. And I will find other things in the future to keep me busy, be it spending time with grandkids or traveling a little bit, or I'll probably
Right.
even dabble in some consulting work from time to time myself. So I'll keep
Right.
busy.
Oh yeah, yeah. Join the club, the
Okay.
consulting club. So, what if you answered this question? Forgive me, but what makes you feel the most proud about your career?
Yeah. So the one thing that I am probably most proud of my tenure at the contributionship is we have been able to put together a very strong group of younger people. Just this week, I did a presentation to the risk committee of our board where we were talking about people risk. And we have a group of people that are 40 years of age or younger.
Mm,
And they comprise almost 30% of this company. And the average tenure for that group of people is 9 years,
mhm,
which is a real accomplishment if you consider we hired these people when they were in their 20s and early 30s. And we,
mhm.
as a company, have been able to retain them, to keep them on a career path, to keep them satisfied and happy. And so that's an accomplishment that I take some pride in here, that we've been able to attract and retain that
Right,
young talent. And I feel like I'm leaving this company in really good hands with that group.
right. That's great. And they're still young.
They are,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, let me ask you, what kind of person are you and your CEO looking for to replace you? How would you describe the most important job specs, the salient job issues that you're
Mhm.
looking to fill?
So of course we look for someone that has a solid foundation in all the different aspects of HR management, the subdisciplines that I already talked about: compensation, benefits,
Mhm,
um, talent management, performance management, recruiting. You might find it interesting that what we are not emphasizing too much is prior insurance background.
mhm,
Um, we'd love to find someone that has some insurance or financial services
right.
in their background, but it's more important to us to find the right person with a good, solid HR foundation and the ability to work in a small company, to truly get to know and
Mhm,
care about the people you work with. As I said before, to understand the goals of the business and be able to speak strategically enough, and craft a plan that's going to support those business goals through the people. And at the same time, being able to deal with the day-to-day little things that come up and not think that anything is beneath you in this job. It is whatever the day brings, whatever it takes. So
including the Coke in the refrigerator.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Can't
So,
get through a day without your coffee and Coca-Cola.
yeah. What kind of what do you think are the important traits, some of the important traits that you would like to find in this person? Um, uh, yes, personal stuff.
hmm So first of all, I think the person has to be um, kind of a warm and caring person, someone that's trustworthy, someone that people feel comfortable talking with, someone that people can trust with confidential information.
Hmm.
Beyond that, you have to have a good sense of business acumen. You have to understand the business goals. Certainly, you have to be a continuous learner, ready and willing to keep pace with
Hmm.
the way the world is changing, and there's something new to be learned every day. I think there's a certain degree of professional maturity. You can't take things too personally.
Hmm.
You have to be a good, solid decision maker. I always tell people that I've learned to look at HR decisions through the lens of three different perspectives. What does the law say we have to do? Because there are many legal implications to the decisions that we make. What does our company policy and maybe more importantly, our company value statement say we should do
Hmm.
or are committed to doing? And lastly, just what's the right thing to do? And I think people that are maybe early in their HR career tend to rely a little bit too much on the legalistic approach. We're all good at memorizing all those laws and remembering what we can and can't
Right,
do.
right,
But
right.
getting to the point in your career when you can be faced with a situation where you have to make a decision or recommend a decision, and you're able to think outside of the legal box and consider all the other ramifications.
Right. Yeah, it's not so much the fear of what you can lose, it's also accounting for the fear of what you could lose, but grasping on opportunity as
Right,
well.
right.
Yeah, that's great. Well, that's one of the reasons I've always admired and respected you, Kathy.
Well, coming from
That's
you,
it.
that's a huge compliment,
Well,
Mickey.
thank you. Thank you. So, what are the challenges that the new HR executive will face now and in the future,
So I think
foreseeable future?
right. The big challenge for anyone working in HR today, or probably for any business discipline, is the rapid pace of change. When I think back to when I started working in this field, it's hard to imagine. 40 years is a long time, but on the other hand, it's a relatively short span of time. And when I started, when I set foot in an office for the first time, there was no computer on anyone's desk. There was no
Right.
email. There was no internet. Those tools were all things that came about and evolved during the span of my career. And the pace of change has only gotten more rapid. AI came into being, I guess,
Right.
in more commonplace in the business world within the last, what,
Mhm.
2 to 3 years?
Right,
That
right, and it's
and we are
accelerating.
seeing an absolute revolution when it comes to AI tools and usage. And I think that's going to continue to transform the way we do business as we
Mhm.
move into the future. So understanding that, knowing how to use it, understand how to use it ethically, is going to be a huge challenge for anyone in the business world.
We've been doing some episodes on this show about AI, more
Mhm.
than I thought we would do, but we've done them. And what I like to, what are you anticipating for your industry, your business in particular, as to where AI is going to kind of pull you and pull the company from a people perspective?
Um, well, not even so much from well, I guess it is from a people perspective, because one of the challenges that the insurance industry is facing right now is we're an aging industry, and more people are getting ready to retire than are entering the insurance business. So, any young people out there, I encourage you to consider a career in insurance. It really isn't this old, boring, stodgy business that you think it is. There are many career paths, and it's a great place to live and learn and work.
Right,
But having said that, we're losing people more quickly than we're gaining people. So the benefit of AI is to use AI to automate some of those very transactional things that take place all the time in insurance, and use
mhm.
the human talent to do what only humans can do.
Right, right. Build up the thinking capability and the thinking uh,
Those true judgment calls.
requirements of people rather than the administrivia aspects of it.
Exactly. Yes.
Great. Uh, Tell us about the hiring team for this HR person and your selection process.
So the hiring team is pretty extensive. The primary people that are involved in the hiring would be Tom Greenfield, our CEO, Kevin Tate, our CFO, and myself. But beyond that, any candidates that we vet and think are worth considering, we will not make a final decision until they've spent some time with a couple of other key people within the organization. People like my assistant Leslie, who obviously has to have a great working relationship with the new person coming in, and then
Mhm.
some of our department heads in finance and accounting, because we interface closely with them, and payroll, IT, um, marketing,
Mhm.
underwriting, claims. There are core disciplines. So we'll have the heads of each of those departments meet with the candidates and
Mhm.
give their opinions. And then, of course, before they uh, get to the final stage, we'll have them meet with you and you'll do your full assessment. And I think we'll have a very well-rounded picture at that point before we make an offer.
Right, right. Hopefully, yes,
Mhm.
you will. Um, so, how are things progressing in your candidate search and vetting and all that at this from to this point?
Um, we're making progress. We have an executive search firm that specializes in the insurance industry, the
Right,
Jacobson Group,
right.
very well known in the insurance industry.
Mhm.
They're conducting the search, and we meet weekly with them to review candidates. Right now, the pipeline, I think, has about 5 or 6 serious candidates in there, and
Mhm.
they've spoken to probably 50 or 60 more. We are still
Wow.
we are still looking for great candidates. So if anyone in
Mhm.
your audience has an interest in working in Philadelphia for a very wonderful insurance company, get in touch with me or the Jacobson Group, and they'll be happy to talk with you.
That's great. And so one of the things that you emphasize is you're not necessarily looking for someone with an insurance background.
Right.
You're looking for the skills, uh, the essential skills and the essential person,
Yes,
basically.
definitely.
Right, right. Is there anybody that's you're kind of getting serious about, or more serious than? Yeah, I don't want you to mention any names,
No.
and I don't think you would anyway. But tell me about what they, what about what about them or him or her makes them maybe an interesting or exciting candidate even.
Mhm. So we have two candidates currently under consideration that we're getting ready to meet with to do in-person interviews.
Mhm.
Both of them have a nice mix of large company plus small company experience. They both seem to have a good grasp on all the basics of HR. And beyond that, sometimes it's just a vibe or a feeling that you get in speaking to someone for an hour and chatting about why they're in HR, what they enjoy, what they take pride in. We just have a pretty good solid feeling about these two candidates that they could potentially be a good fit for us.
Great, great. It's good to hear. Now, please, this is, I think, an important question. Uh, Describe the legacy that you would like to leave for TPC and the person that you hire to continue and perhaps build upon.
Mhm. Okay, so when I think about that question, and it kind of ties to one that you asked earlier, like what am I most proud of?
Yeah,
And I really
yeah,
hope that in my career, whether it's here at the contributionship or in other places that I've worked, that in some small way I've had some ability to shape and influence the culture, the work environment. Because I think we all know amongst our friends and loved ones and circle of acquaintances that people go home at the end of the day and they unload to their family, their friends, their confidants, and how often do they go home and complain about what happened at work that day,
right, right.
or how badly their manager treated them, or whatever their gripe of the day is, and nothing gives me more pride, and I hope it's a legacy that I leave here than to say that we built a good, positive, engaging culture where people felt good about working here. It's not perfect by any means, but on par with um, you know any place else. I do hope that people feel that there's a good work-life balance, that their contributions are respected, that they
Mhm.
themselves are respected as individuals, and the fact that we've been named top workplace in the Delaware County or Delaware Valley area for 12 years running.
Really, I had no idea.
Yeah, we have been on that list many years, so and
Wow.
that's a legacy that I'd like to see continue once I'm gone from here.
Well, that's great. I've been reading about people leaving the workforce, um, and they're primarily. I don't know if this is another challenge that you've experienced that you're facing, but I read where as many as 455,000 women have left the workforce because of the lack of ability to work remotely.
Hmm.
Um, after COVID and everything, and a lot of it relates to childcare.
Hmm.
Um, Men, there's been like an 183,000 gain, but women have. There's been some attrition that's kind of noteworthy. I don't know if you're pick, you know that. I'm sure you do, but how's that impacting things in Philadelphia and in your business in particular?
Hmm. So I just read an interesting statistic that said that the insurance industry is second only to IT for allowing remote work. Uh,
Really?
yeah, so
Okay,
many jobs in insurance can easily be done remotely. Um,
interesting.
we've adopted a hybrid approach for most of our employees. I'm usually in the office 2 to 3 days a week, as are most of our managers. But we have many employees that work remotely most of the time and some that come in on an as-needed basis. So it works for us.
Right. Great. Great. So you're doing the hybrid thing.
I am, and loving
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Yeah. And I'm sure that's an element that really attracts a lot of people.
it does. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great to hear. So, what else would you like to tell me that I haven't asked? We have a couple more minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, what comes to mind, I copied this down because I have a son who has done law enforcement work his entire career.
Right.
And he carries in his pocket what's called a challenge coin. And the challenge coin says, if you do this job properly, there is nothing more noble you will do with your life. Now, I can see that that applies to his career in law enforcement, but I also
Right.
think that in a small way it applies to the work that any of us do.
Right.
And I've been really blessed to have this career and to
Uh-huh.
be able to do something hopefully meaningful with my life.
Right. Where's he, by the way, is he the chief yet?
To be determined. He's under
Okay.
consideration. He's still interim chief right now.
Okay, that's great. That's a great story,
Yeah,
Kathy. That's terrific. Well,
thank you.
listen, I really am very literally blown away with your presence today, and you're always are a very articulate person, saying some very articulate and very insightful things today on our show, and I really do appreciate your joining me today.
Thank you
Just
very
great.
much for having me,
Yeah,
Mickey.
yeah, you got it. Okay. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
You have been listening to Inside the Mind of Hiring with me, Dr. Mickey Fineberg. Tune in the first and third Tuesday at 11 on Transformation Talk Radio to discover the psychology of making successful hiring decisions. In each episode, hiring managers and HR pros will learn how to leverage assessments and other key screening sources and avoid common pitfalls. Job seekers will gain insight into successfully presenting themselves. For more information on assessing people for mission-critical jobs and on career assessment and coaching, visit deltaconsultants.com and my LinkedIn profile. If you'd like to write me personally, it's Mickey, Mickey, @deltaconsultants.com.